back. You're in the kitchen with Chef ChefCarlaAndrea. Tonight we're going to be making beer can chicken, green beans with the warm bacon vinaigrette, and smashed yams. Let me show you all the ingredients that I have out so far, and then we're going to get into making our meal. I have a whole organic chicken that I've washed, I've cleaned. I've patted down. I'm going to pat it down again because as you can see there's still a little residual water. I have fresh green beans that I've cleaned and trimmed, took the ends off. And then I have my bacon. I have my beer that I have allowed to sit. I opened it up so I can get some of the foam away. I just used the tall can, the 24 ounce, but we're not going to use it all. Then I have some yams that I've peeled, cleaned, let them sit in water. The first thing that I want to do is move this all out the way so that way you guys can see what's going on. I'm going to take my yams and I'm going to slice them so that way they can boil to soften up. Now, when you go to cut your yams, you want to think about what size do you want to cut your yams in. You don't want to do them, to where they're super big and it takes, an hour for your yams to cook. So you want to think about, okay, well, if I do them smaller, then they cook faster. So I like to do my yams just a little bit smaller so that way they cook faster. I just have a pot of cold water that's on the stove. And just throw them in there, let it come to a boil, and I let them cook until they're nice and tender, fork tender, so that way I can season them up and get them ready. When you do cut your yams, you want to make sure that everything is in its uniform size. You don't want to you don't want to throw this in after you've cut pieces that look like this. It's just, it doesn't really work out. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that all my pieces are the same size. Now, when I do my yam measurements, I like to do 1 yam per person, even though I know that a person may not eat a whole yam. But if you're in my house, you're greedy, you may come back later on to nibble because we're not going to eat one whole chicken in one setting. So I just say, okay, I need 3 yams. That's how I do it. If there's 5 people, I'll get 5 yams, and so forth and so forth. So we have 1 yam left. Get this all cut up nicely. Make sure you put your yams, your potatoes in water because then the starch starts coming out. Potatoes will turn brown. Yams will get like white spots on them that look kind of weird. You're like, oh, what is that? So just make sure you let them sit in water until you're ready to use it. If it's a big occasion, a holiday, you can actually do it the night before. As long as you have your yams in water, you'll be fine. You'll be good to go. Last yam, we're almost to the home stretch. I really like this meal. I cook it a lot. Well, not as much as I want to, but I do make it quite a bit. I like it. It's easy. It tastes good. Who doesn't like chicken? So yeah, it's pretty simple. You get to make your own rub, be creative. I'm gonna go on and grab me a beer mug. I get so excited when certain things come around. So I'm gonna let the foam pour out. I usually try to do about halfway full because I'm going to add a few things into the can that I'll show you guys in a few seconds. I'm going to add a little bit of juice in there. I'm going to add some of our seasoning. So I'm going to get our seasoning mix. I've already started it. I put a tablespoon of mustard. I put a tablespoon of paprika. I put a tablespoon of onion and garlic powder. I always like to add a little cumin to it to give it that smokiness. I added a teaspoon of celery seeds. So now I'm going to add me a tablespoon, little extra, of brown sugar. I have a tablespoon of white sugar that I put in there because brown sugar has the molasses, so it'll brown quicker, caramelize quicker, and that's not what I want from the chicken. I don't want it to be, black. I just want it to be nicely golden in color. I like to cook the chicken on 400 degrees, so while I'm getting everything set up, the first thing I do when I run to my house, I'll go ahead and put my oven on 400, so that way that's just one less thing that I have to worry about amongst the many other things that I have to worry about when I'm trying to make a meal. So let me show you guys how to pour beer correctly. This is how I should have poured my glass of beer to not have so much foam. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now I got a little for me to drink. I'm going to get the rest of the ingredients for that. So you can use whatever juice you like. I have some leftover grape juice, so I'm just going to pour a little bit in that. If you have some cranberry juice, you have apple juice, What else? Pineapple juice. Any type of juice you have works great because it helps, you know, with the acidity of the beer, the hoppiness of the beer. And we like to use the sauce that's in this beer can later on because it's going to be like a little gravy that we do, that we pour over the chicken once it's sat and, you know, it's relaxed. We'll do a little gravy. So I'm going to pour and try not to make a mess. My seasonings in here for the sauce. Try to keep everything together. So I did like a tablespoon and a half, whatever made it in here. See, it's bubbling up. It's okay. It's okay. So we have paper towels for it. Let it do its thing. So we're going to grab this, throw this over here. As soon as that stops bubbling, we're going to grab this chicken that I've already cleaned. I've washed, as you can see, because it's still quite a bit of water on here. Okay, I'm going to get that all dry so that way the seasonings will adhere to our bird. We're going to place it right over. Make sure you get it pushed down really good. It's okay. You're the boss. You are the boss of the chicken in the beer can. Wash my hands for a second because I got to grab one more thing so we can season this bird up. Alright, remember when you're dealing with chicken, you always want to keep everything clean, sanitized, and washed. Alright. So now we're going to put just a little bit of oil on the bird so that way all the seasonings stick to it. This is messy, but it's fun. Do it like that. Now, you know, when people roast their chicken, some people like to put the wings back like this. You know, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about that because the way that I see it is that I'm missing the opportunity to make crispiness on the whole chicken. So I just like to let my chicken just dangle like this. I know it may not look as appealing and this is not what you learn in culinary school, but see, when you eat this, I like to be crispy because it's a thick skin. I don't want all that chewy, soft mushiness in my mouth. That's not what I'm looking for when I go to eat a piece of chicken, you know, that's been roasted. So I'm just going to slather this all over the bird. Get this going. Get a nice little handful. Just brush it around the body. Now I did say this is messy, so that way you know. Get some all over it. Brush it down. Get it on the wings. Lift up the little belly. And voila. This is how you do your beer can chicken. You put it on here. Pick it up. It's heavy. You put it on here. And you make sure that your oven rack is on the very, very bottom. You put it in there for 400 degrees. And you just let it cook. Don't bother it. Don't open it till about 25 minutes. And you check it. Once you see the thigh meat right here, and this area is running clear, you know you're good to go. The breast is going to cook faster, so what I normally do is I put the breast facing outside the oven door because it's the coolest part of the oven, and I put the back part in the oven so that way this gets most of the heat because it's dark meat, has more fat, and it takes longer to cook. And then when I go to check it, I'll turn it around and I'll allow the breast to be in the furthest part so that way everything gets nice and crispy and it's well circulated. So I'm going to wash my hands up, throw this in the oven, and I'll see you back in a few minutes when it's time to assemble the rest of the meal. Hey, what's up? We're back. Everything is rocking and rolling. We're almost to the finish line. I have my yams. They're boiling, looking good, halfway done. I have a pot of salted boiling water over here. I have a saute pan. So now that my water is boiling, I'm going to add in my green beans because I want to blanch them for a couple of minutes. I'm going to put them in here, let them boil some more, and then I'm going to take them off. In about 4 minutes, we're going to throw them in some ice bath, and then we are going to let them cool down completely. Then we're going to do the second step. Now on to the bacon part for the vinaigrette. I put in here. Our chicken should have been in the oven for about 10-15 minutes by now. So we're going to turn it down to 375 because we've allowed the skin to get all crusty and crispy. So that's good. That's working. Now we're going to start chopping up this wonderfully looking bacon. I like this dressing because A, it's warm. B, it can go good on many of other things. If you want to do a French style potato salad, you can throw this on here, make you some warm vinaigrette salad dressing, and boil your potatoes. Let them cool a little bit for a few minutes because you have to handle them. I'll say about 2-3 minutes. Throw this over there, some salt, some pepper, just a little bit of salt, not too much, just to taste. And this dressing is perfect. I'm going to do that for you guys one day. Make some potato salad French style. The difference between French and American is that it's vinaigrette based versus mayonnaise based, and it's warm or room temperature. So I have this chopped up. I just used a few pieces of bacon. Now I know bacon has a lot of fat, but I still like to use some type of oil in my pan because I don't want my bacon to stick initially. So I'm going to throw that in here. You hear that sizzle? It's always good. And another side note about your chicken, when you're doing your chicken, put foil down in the pan because the juices get to dripping out, everything falls. I've done it many times, not put foil. It's burned to the pan because there's sugar in it. I have to let it soak overnight. The next day, I'm heating it back up to get it soft. I'm vigorously scrubbing. So to save all the hassle, just throw some foil in there. So we got our bacon cooking to crisp. We have our green beans working, our yams working, and our chicken's in the oven. Everything is looking good. So I'll see you guys back in a few minutes when this bacon's done and it's nice and crispy, and when it's time to put our green beans and our ice bath. Alright, my green beans are finished. I'm going to throw them in the ice bath just like this. I wanted you guys to see this so that way you can see how to stop the cooking on your green beans and also how to keep the nice bright green color to them. I just put in 50-50 ice to cold water. So now I'm going to let those get ice cold. I'm going to finish cooking up this bacon that is starting to turn golden brown. Make sure you cook your bacon low and slow because the lower and slower you let it cook, the nicer and the better it gets crispy and nicely browned. So I'll see you guys back in a few minutes when it's time to smash up some yams. What's up? Our green beans are nice and cold, so I'm just going to drain the water off of them. And I'm going to bring them right back over here for when it's time to cook them. Then our yams, they're finished, completely cooked. Let me show you real quick. See how they're fork tender? See that? Perfectly cooked yam. Now I'm going to drain the water off the yams as well. Just let it shake it just for a little bit to get off all the excess water. And what I like to do, right after I get all the water off of them, I just like to let them sit on the eye for a second because it's still hot, so any water that's left in the pan is going to evaporate. And before you do this, you want to make sure that you have all your mise en place because this right here, boy does it cook fast. If you don't allow the potatoes to still be warm, your butter and everything, it's not going to incorporate completely and it's just going to be difficult. So I put in a half a stick of butter. Boy, do I love butter. I'm going to put in a tablespoon of maple. I just love how maple tastes. It's fall, so why not? I just wish that California weather would be fall as well. In my mind, it's fall. In my mind, I wear sweaters, I wear scarves. I actually put on a pair of pants. I actually, I'm actually warm. It's in California right now. I don't think I've worn a pair of jeans yet. It's kind of pointless to own jeans out here. So I got some pumpkin pie spice. I got some cinnamon. I did a teaspoon of each. Now I'm going to do about 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. Throw that in there. Get all this out the way. Now I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla. About a teaspoon of vanilla right there. Put in just a wee bit of milk. Where's my milk? Just a little bit. You don't need a lot of milk. You just need a little bit. Perfect. Remember, you can always add things if you need them, but taste them first. So I'm gonna get my little retroly designed stand mixer that somebody stole from their grandmother, but it works great. If it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. It beats having to get out my big food processor and use the stand mixer just to whip up some sweet potatoes together. Alright, these are nice and creamy, looking good. Now, if you guys like it sweeter, it's perfectly okay just to add a little more sugar to it. There's nothing wrong with it. If you don't like it as sweet, you don't have to. If you're trying to be healthy, leave the butter out. You know, if you don't like using processed sugars, you can go ahead and use some agave nectar. You know, it's all about how you want to do it. You know, yams are already sweet in general, so you don't really need to do too much to them. So I'm going to taste it to see if it's to my liking. I just want to add a hair more. Let me ask the camera woman what she thinks. And if she thinks that they're sweet enough. Let's see. Let's see. Taste test. Am I good?
Maybe a tad bit sweeter.
Just a tad bit sweeter, she says. I was almost there. I think I played it too safe because she's wishy-washy. Some days she likes it sweet. Some days she says, oh, it's too sweet. So you never really know. So I'm just going to mix this up. One last time. Make sure you get in on the edges and you just move the bowl around. Oh yeah, this milk is going to come together real nicely. Did I tell you guys I love sweet potatoes? I love a sweet potato pie. I love sweet potatoes with pecans on it. I love them with the marshmallows. I love them smashed. I just love sweet potatoes. Okay, so our smashed sweet potatoes are finished. This right here actually goes really well with salmon. If you ever do like a baked salmon, like on a cedar plank, this is good. So I'll see you guys back in a few minutes. I'm going to clean up because our chicken's almost finished. I'm going to show you guys how to handle that gravy that is inside the beer can. And we're going to finish up these green beans. We're back. I have finished our wonderfully looking beer can chicken over there to the corner. It's nicely resting. It's golden brown. The skin is very crispy. I have my green beans that still have some crunch to them. I've extracted all the liquid that I put in here from the beer can into a saucepan so it can reduce. The yams are finished. Now it's time for us to do our bacon vinaigrette. Ooh, got green bean juice everywhere. So we're just gonna slice these. I like to slice them. Doesn't have to be all fancy smanchy. We can just slice them thinly so we can get them in the pan. Let them saute up. Now I'm going to use olive oil. Sometimes if I'm making the vinaigrette right away, I'll leave a little bit of the oil, a little bit of the bacon fat in the pan. But if I'm not doing it right away, I really don't like cooking with the bacon fat because it gets that kind of weird porky taste, and I don't want it to have that in this dish because, you know, yes, it's a bacon vinaigrette, but I still need other flavors, I guess, to shine from the vinaigrette, and I don't want that pork to overwhelm it like it can. So I just put a little bit of oil in the pan. I'm gonna let my shallots cook nice and slowly. Now we're gonna add more oil, but I just want to do a little bit right now so that way the shallots can cook and, you know, get a little flavor on them. Let me move this bowl out the way. So the pan is already hot, the shallots are already cooking. We're just going to let them cook just until they're nice and translucent and tender. The beer, I guess you could say, zhuzh that we have in here, we're just going to let it reduce by half. That's just my secret for that, because I don't want to put flour, cornstarch, or anything in it to tighten it up like a sauce. I still just kind of want it to be a little loose, but just a little thick naturally. So this is going good. Now I have a tablespoon and a half of apple cider vinegar and a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Please forgive me. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this all together. Ooh, that vinegar, when it gets hot and your mouth is open, ooh, boy does it get in there real good. Now we're going to add in the rest of our oil. I'm going to turn it down to low. Woo. Oh man. Try to step back a little bit, because it will get you. Now these green beans are already naturally sweet, so I don't want to add any sweetener to it. But what I will do is I'll get just a little bit of sea salt. I'll say about 1/4. Oh my God, 1/4 of a teaspoon in here. And I'll do the same amount in the black pepper. And that's it. Very simple, very easy. Now onto the good part. You get to throw these suckers in here. Let them warm up. Let it all come together. You want to give your chicken about 15 minutes to rest before you cut into it. But you do want to make sure that you toss all your green beans around and this wonderfully made vinaigrette. Right when it's time to serve the green beans, that's when I'll add my bacon, because with bacon, we've taken so much time to crisp it and to get it nicely brown. When you throw the bacon in warm, it's going to get soggy again, wilty, translucent. It'll be a waste of time of all the hard work we did. Remember, you are cooking with bacon, so just use a very minimal amount of salt. Not a lot, because the pork bacon will carry through the rest of the dish. I'll see you guys back when it's time to cut and assemble our chicken. So now the beer can chicken has rested, the skin is nice and crispy, it's time to cut it. I know people are probably like, oh man, how do I cut this chicken? Don't worry about it. We got the kitchen shears. Who needs a knife when you can just cut your chicken? So I'm going to make it very simple for you guys, because I know sometimes it can be intimidating, but don't worry, I'm here. And if you guys get confused, just rewind it, play it again. So the first thing we're going to do is cut the back off the chicken. Now be careful, because you don't want to cut your can or try to cut through the can, because you're going to make it difficult. So I'm just going to go ahead and slit the back right down so we can pop it out. Get it out nicely. See all those wonderfully juices. Okay, move that right here. So now I'm going to just kind of crack it just a little bit, not too much. I'm going to take my legs off next. Just cut it. There's like a little outline, like a little piece of loose skin that you can use for a guide. Very easy. It's not hard to find it. Right here, you see like this little piece of loose skin that's here and there. You're just going to cut right around it, and the chicken will pull off beautifully. Now this part's going to be a little difficult, because we're going to actually cut through the bone, but we're going to remove that. See how the bone's right here? We're just going to cut right here off of it. So now you got your leg, your thigh attached. So now we're going to cut off the half of this back. And I always kind of like to remember to flip my chicken back up, because I don't want it to get moist. I like to keep the skin nice and crispy. So we're just going to make a little incision on the front part and just cut through the breast. You're going to feel the breastbone. It's perfectly okay. Go through it. You're going to just cut right through it. You're going to pull it apart, and you'll be able to see the separation. I don't know how good you guys can see it. It's still nice and hot. You'll be able to see the separation of the breast plate, as I like to call it. And then you'll see like a little groove right here where you can cut to separate it. Now you got your breast and your wing attached. Then you're going to turn around. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to just clean it up right here. Get rid of that little bit of skin and bone. Voila. You got you some chicken. Now if you want to debone it, You just go and you look for the bone and you just pull it. It's hot, so be careful. You just pull it away. Ah, it's hot. Then you take this other bone and you just go right in here and you just start pulling it away. Did I tell you it's hot? I think I did. And you just pull it away. That's all you do, right there. There we go. Leave the skin on there. And that's just how you, kind of ripped the skin. I manhandled it because it was hot. And that's how you get the breastbone off. And you just do the same thing. And see, I like it because I'm the cook, so I can taste it. This is actually quite good. I like it. Get to be a little scavenger. Okay. Let me wash my hands. This is real good. I like this, okay. So let me get this all out the way. Okay, I'm gonna put the starch down first because the starch always says nice and hot. So I'm gonna put a little starch down right there. Get it going in the center. Then we're going to take some of our green beans that have been cooking. Plant them right there. Then we are going to come back. And this is the part that we can use a knife so we can do a nice little decoration. Get some nice slices on your chicken. Come right here. We'll use the scissors. Get rid of that. There we go. Cut right around it. We'll come back to that piece later. So the piece that we have taken the bone out of, we'll just cut it. Some nice big chunks. Go on and put this on the plate because I'm greedy. Oh yeah, look at that. That looks beautiful. I'm going to take a little bit of this rendered down sauce that we let reduce. And we'll just pour it all over the chicken. Yeah, look at that. Even making a mess, but you know what? It's quite alright because it's going to be good. Move this out the way. Okay. Make a little bit of room. Move this can. Alright. Let's get this plate. Clean it up a little bit. Grab me a fork so I can throw this bacon on top. Now this is the best part. This part that I love to see. I got my leftover beer that I've been drinking. I got some bacon on here. It's a very simple meal. Very easy. Fun to make. Fun to eat. Get a little sauce on the chicken. Chicken's great. It's juicy. I taste the dry rub. That canned gravy that we made from the beer. It's got a nice hoppy, bitter, sweet aroma to it. Our green beans with our salad dressing. Nice and crispy. I taste the vinegar, the mustard, the shallots, the bacon. This is where it's at. Sweet potatoes. They're creamy. That's all you need to know. They're creamy, buttery, flavor, like ball in your mouth. That's what these taste like. Thank you very much for watching me make beer can chicken, smashed sweet potatoes or yams, green beans, and a Dijon bacon vinaigrette, and my beer gravy. I appreciate it. If you guys haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you have, thank you very much, and I'll see you guys next time.